from God, asking for the blessings of the ancestors and the elders. And let's go. Man, there's so much going on. Okay, it's Black Music Month starting today. Happy Black Music Month. It's election eve. We got a lot to talk about as per usual, even more than usual. This is how we do it on a Mindful Monday. Hour 1, we look local. Hour 2, we go national, international, and beyond. And we started off with our Mindful Mondays. So we get do our guided meditation and affirmation with the great Sahara Ali. Hour 3, we do a deep dive with a person or persons of interest. So it's going to be, we're on point with all of that today. And joining me here in the studio, great surprise this morning. She's a professor. She's a consultant, I guess you could say, on anti-blackness. She's a mom and an organizer. LaMikia Castillo, good morning.
Good morning. Happy June 1st. Happy June Jubilee month.
Indeed. Is it illegal yet? Is Juneteenth illegal yet? I feel like I saw something about that over the weekend, and I kind of skimmed right over it because I don't think that presidents made Juneteenth, and I don't think they can take it away.
They can't take it away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How is business for you? I mean, what you do, a lot of what you do professionally as a professor and as a consultant is right in the crosshairs of what this administration is targeting.
Yeah. You know, honestly, when Trump was first elected, not the first time, when he was elected this time, we had a lot of clients who were very concerned and immediately wanted to shift the language because they knew that he was going to start targeting, you know, what he's doing right now, coming after folks who are using even just DEI, which is extremely benign. Right. Diversity, equity, inclusion is not anti-racism work. It's not, you know, it's a very small piece of it. But we had a lot of clients who were concerned and wanted to scale back the work that they were doing so that they wouldn't be a target of this administration. And now I would say our work is really broad in terms of how we approach. I mean, our focus is systemic change, and anti-racism, anti-blackness is a big piece of it. So we're able to move and, you know, navigate the space in a way that doesn't have a negative impact on our work. But we have had to like soothe clients into how to navigate what's going on with this administration and not be fearful of, you know, what the Trump administration would have done to them, especially in a year and a half ago.
Yeah. Well, you know, aside from Black Music Month, whoop, whoop, whoop. So we get to have all kinds of great Black music programming. I'm going to try to do it anyway, but now we get to go full throttle, and we're going to need it after this election season. We got the ballot, and I'm really interested to see, you know, where you are on some of these things. I have been getting congratulated and beat up all weekend for publishing. Whoops, I'm not allowed to talk about it. For my opinions are on the election. Let me put it that way, because we, as a station, have decided that station management has decided that we won't endorse overtly, but like I always say, there will be signs, and so. And that's fine. But what I do, I'm allowed to do what I want on my personal time. So there you have it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, also for myself as a member of Black Lives Matter, right, we never endorse any candidates either. So I know exactly what you mean, because people look at you as a representative of the station. They look at me as a representative of Black Lives Matter. And so whatever you say, they associate it by default with whatever organizations you're affiliated with. So I understand that. And yes, you still get to have your personal opinion and speak your perspective in your mind. And I did see the opinions you put on social media, and I was looking through and looking at it as a guide.
Well, you see the disclaimer? The views and opinions expressed right here are not those of KBLA.
Yes, I did see
or
the disclaimer.
Any other of the many wonderful organizations with which I am affiliated.
Absolutely.
Including Black Lives Matter.
Yes.
So there you have it. Yeah. Of course, the most, I guess, maybe the most contentious is governor. I want to say maybe because the mayor's race here in L.A. Is pretty, you know, fraught. You don't live in L.A., so.
No, I do. I do live in L.A.
So you vote on mayor?
I do vote on mayor.
Okay.
I do. And yes, it is very fraught. And because of personal connections to several folks, it's hard to talk about the mayoral piece in particular, but I would say mayor and governor are both those most contentious conversations and are leading to some tensions between folks.
Yeah, to be honest with you, and city attorney too. But to be honest with you, well, we can skip over the mayor's race. I feel that way a little bit about the governor because I'm a big supporter of Antonio Villaraigosa. I think that he did an amazing job as mayor. And I'm a fan, is that the word? I think Drake ruined that word for all of us.
Right.
I'm a fan of Tony Thurmond. You know, I like his positions, but I'm not going to vote for somebody that's tracking 1% when we have two looming Republicans. And I've, personally kind of feel sad about that, but it is what it is.
Yeah, no, and it's a tough one, right? Usually when we are like a presidential election, and because we live in the state of California, I'm like, vote however you feel in the state of California because you know who this is going to go to.
We're going blue anyway.
Right, we're going blue anyway. And so, and I remember during the last presidential election, people were doing these trades like, okay, if somebody lives in a red state, we'll trade with them for the vote or whatever. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, but now it's not that simple because we're in a very unusual situation, I would say, where there are two potential Republican candidates who could make it to the top of the ballot. And then that's all we have to choose from if, we use the strategy that we use when during a presidential election, when you're like, well, the state's going to go blue anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's right. And, well, we had Butch Ware on the show last week, and he did a great job. In fact, if you want to hear any of the candidates, the pods are up on YouTube. You can find them wherever you find your podcast. And his supporters flooded my timeline after he called them out to do so, which I thought was actually quite charming because, it shows that his people are really loyal to him.
Yes, I did notice that. I saw a lot of folks in the comments.
Yeah, because he posted it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Thanks, Butch. I mean, Dr. Ware. Because, I think I got a few new followers, even though they were hate following. So all good. And he actually gave a very, very good interview.
I didn't get a chance to listen to it, but I am going to go back and listen to it today, actually.
And, of course, he's a write-in now because he was taken off the ballot. Due to a technicality, which he challenged in court. The court sided with the Secretary of State. So you have to write him in if you're voting for him.
Yes. And I know many, many friends of mine who are writing him in.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, I support if folks are writing Butch Ware in or if folks are voting for whomever they want to vote for as long as they're voting. And I do understand the desire to write in if your values aligned. And then also, even given everything I just said, right, about we're in a different situation right now in the state of California just because of the way that our election works for the gubernatorial race. When people say things like, well, if you write in a candidate or if you don't vote for one of these candidates, you're just like, it's your fault if if we lose.
If we have Governor Bianco. Luckily, he's tumbled. So right now, he's not even in the top 4.
Exactly. But I still say, right, if we're ever going to break this two-party system, we have to start somewhere. And I don't see how we start if folks constantly hold on to this fear that if I don't just vote for whomever the Democrats have put forward, we're going to get, So.
Yeah, I don't, I understand that. You sound like Dr. Melina Abdullah. And I guess, yeah, of course you do. I guess I shouldn't be surprised by that. For me, it's not fear, though. For me, it's strategy. You know what I mean? Because the whole place is burning. I mean, we have Trump as president. It looks like we might not even have it in America at the rate he's going. Or we are going to be totally reimagining not just policing, but everything.
Yeah.
So I don't, I don't feel fear in that way. But what I do see is strategy. And I mean, I would fear a Governor Bianco. That's a lie. Because he's like Trump with Cocoa Puffs. He's just extra. He's just extra. But I do think strategy is important. And I saw one guy, I'll look it up after, saying that right now, Becerra's in the polling, but of course polling is wrong a lot, but Becerra seems like he's way ahead. So if you want to box out Hilton, you vote for Steyer, and then you have a Steyer-Becerra Becerra race, which to me would be ideal, or like Steyer. Whoops, I'm not endorsing. I'm just talking. Or like Steyer and Butch, or Becerra and Butch. What I'm saying, it'd be nice to have a moderate and somebody to the left of them, rather than watching a Democrat tack right to try to compete with a Republican, which I hate watching because it doesn't work. Yeah. And it's also stupid.
It is absolutely. And how much of a laughing stock would be of the country if we ended up with a Bianco at the top of the, of the list, that this is somebody that our state is actually considering to be the governor and leading our state. I agree with you on strategy. Strategy is important. But I do hear a lot of people saying, if we don't do this, we're going to get this, therefore I'm going to vote this way, even if it's not aligned, right, with my values.
For sure.
And I feel like, a strategy could be that you get a Steyer and a Butch Ware, right, together, if you have folks who are using a strategy to actually, Butch Ware is trying to promote a strategy, right, which is everybody write me in, because the more write-ins that I get, the more likely that I'll be able to get up to the top of, one of the top 2 or top 3 candidates. I know the top the 3 doesn't matter, but if he gets up to 3 or 4, that's actually pretty huge. That's significant, because it does have long-term implications for beyond this ballot, right? Beyond
it means
tomorrow.
The Green Party is a factor.
Exactly.
Well, they're always a factor, but they're a factor for winning instead of just spoiling. And I know a lot of people don't agree with that. I don't care. I was old enough to watch that go down when we got President George W. And I still blame Ralph Nader. I don't care what y'all say. 800-920-1680, 800-920-1680. 1580. What did I get 16? Whew. Just putting one on the 10.
Yeah, you were saying how young you were.
Exactly. I was just reminiscing on, because it's almost my 27th birthday. 800-920-1580 if you want to say a thing about a thing. I'm Dominique DePrimo. LaMikia Castillo is here, and we are on KBLA Talk 1580.
Thanks for starting your morning off with a voice that speaks truth to power and the powerless, getting to the heart of what matters most in our community. This is where authentic conversation meets real action. From breaking news and politics to culture and community solutions, this is where you hear perspectives you won't hear anywhere else. This is where we come together, get informed, and make change happen. You're inside First Things First with Dominique DePrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
Good morning, sunshine. You make my day.
As a fitness coach, my active psoriatic arthritis can slow me down. With Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, I'm treating my skin and joint symptoms so I can keep moving. Skyrizi, a prescription-only injection for adults, helps me move with less joint pain, stiffness, swelling, and fatigue. And for those who have plaque psoriasis, 90% clearer skin is possible. With Skyrizi, there's no daily dosing. It's just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines.
Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing like clearer skin and better movement. And that means everything. Ask your doctor about Skyrizi. Visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKY-RIZI to learn more.
In a world full of noise, one station keeps it real. KBLA Talk 1580, where the conversation goes deeper, the voices sound like yours, and the issues that matter most to our community take center stage. Progressive, powerful, unapologetically us. Whether you're driving through the city or tuning in from your home or office, join the public square. KBLA Talk 1580, your home for talk that enlightens, encourages, and empowers. Listen live on our free KBLA 1580 app, on our website at KBLA1580.com, or on your radio dial at 1580 AM.
Unapologetically progressive.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-444-2013. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-444-2013. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-444-2013. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-444-2013 or biglou.com.
Your ancestors' favorite radio station, and your favorite morning show host. Let's get back to Dominique DePrima right now.
Okay, election things, and I want to do a whole show about this, but since you have it here, you hold up your book so people can see it. Yeah, is that good, Miles? Can they see it? Yeah, they can see it. The Abolitionist Alphabet book by LaMikia Castillo and Daniel Castillo. You and your hubby teamed up.
We did. We teamed up. We didn't see enough books about the things that we want our kids to be immersed in from a young age. I didn't learn about abolition, honestly, until I was in college, like in earnest, right? I mean, I learned a little bit about abolition, the abolitionist in K through 12 education, but definitely not modern abolition perspective.
Right,
so,
right.
Yeah.
So where can we find that? It's in what age range is it geared towards?
So we say that it's geared toward everybody,
okay.
Right? It's written as an alphabet book for children, but it's a little complex and intentionally because, you know, my kids will pick up on everything, and all kids do. They ask all kinds of questions. But you can find it at legacyreaders.com, which is because we self-published. And then honestly,
nice.
if you go anywhere else, any other places that sell books, people have been telling us that they're finding it everywhere, including places that we don't necessarily support. But
wow,
but it's showing up. So legacyreaders.com is the website.
That's probably the people sneakily trying to do something to counteract the counter DEI. Well, we'll just don't say anything. We'll just put it on the shelf.
Right. Yeah. So excited about this book. We launched it on April 16th, and we've already sold almost 200 copies, which is pretty big because for self-publishing, apparently, like over the course of an entire lifetime of a book, a self-published book would only sell 250 copies total.
Really?
Yeah, that's the average.
But not a community organizer self-published book.
Right.
Put at least a 0 on that.
Exactly. And Juneteenth is coming up. So buy this for everybody in your life. Let them know what abolition is and focus on modern abolition and connect with the history of how we got here anyway, why we have Juneteenth.
Yeah, I mean, Juneteenth, back to school, everybody's birthdays, Kwanzaa, Christmas. It's funny because, as, back when my kid was in school, lower school, now he goes to college, there was one time when I brought in a stack of books to the school because they would have these Black History Month reading books. And they would have all the children reading them. And it was always slavery. The boy who put himself in a box and mailed himself to freedom and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, boom, Black inventors, boom. If I would have had that, I definitely would have added it. Because the not Black moms were, oh, wow, I didn't know there was such, they were shocked that there were all these other things we could read about besides our children's ancestors being enslaved.
Yes, absolutely. I always let people know that, are you familiar with Arturo Schomburg? Yes. And he was the man. There's a children's book called The Man Who Built the Library. And it's about this man, Arturo Schomburg. And of course, my husband's Puerto Rican. Arturo Schomburg is a Black man from Puerto Rico who built a library for exactly the purpose that you just mentioned, right? So the first library of African American history is in Harlem, and he's the person who created it. He came from Puerto Rico, where his teachers were mostly white and would tell him that Black people had nothing to contribute. They were only enslaved. We were only enslaved. And he was like, that can't be true. And so he went and compiled all of this information about Frederick Douglass and Nat Turner and even Beethoven, right? Put it all together and created the first library of Black history. And then he went on to build a library at Fisk University, the first library of Black history, of Negro history there, and in different places across the country. And we need our children to have access to books and stories that talk about not just enslavement, but who we are, all the great things that we've done from before we even came to this country, and the people who came to this country not as enslaved people, before people were enslaved in this country. So, you know, me as a policy professor, as a, you know, ethnic studies, having an ethnic studies background, this is so critical for me. And I want all children to have access to information like this, to feel empowered, that we are so much more than the narrative that this country has painted about Black people in this country.
It's interesting, too. I wish Steve Harvey could hear us, because me and him used to fight about this when I was one of his sidekicks, which is that he, and there's other people that feel this way, would say, well, your husband can't be in my fraternity because he's Latino, not Black, or you can't be in my sorority because you're Latino, not Black. But if they didn't know, they will look at you and both and say, well, they're Black.
Because we are.
Right.
That's the thing, right? And again, having taught Black, Latino, and Latin American relations for a few years at Cal State LA, I always remind people of that. The majority of enslaved Africans were brought to the Americas. That doesn't mean the United States of America only, right? And so Black people from Africa are all over the Americas, in South America and Central America, North America as well. And how do we determine who is Black, or how do we define Black? It's not just based on if you were born in the United States, right? If you have any ancestry from Africa, to me, you are Black, or you have Black in you. That's because in the United States, we had a policy called the one drop rule, the grandfather clause, right? The 1/16th rule that said anybody who had a drop of Black blood, if your grandfather or great grandfather was Black, you are Black. That is not true in other parts of the Americas, where majority, like Brazil has the largest concentration of Black people outside of the continent of Africa, because Portugal enslaved more people than the British did. But folks don't know or realize that. And we're all connected, right? I'm a Pan-Africanist. The folks you're talking about, the ADOS folks, you know, I have some beef with them sometimes, because I'm like, yo, I understand what you're saying. And at the same time, all of us were impacted by slavery that was imposed on us, our ancestors, by Europeans who forcefully brought our folks here to these continents, right? To North and South America and Central America. And until we see that and understand that and have solidarity across these made up geographic lines, we're not going to be able to get everybody free, right? None of us are free until all of us are free. Well, what does that mean? It's not just all of us here in the United States. It's all of us whose ancestors were forcefully brought to the Americas to build this whole multiple continents, and not be able to betroth anything or pass anything down to us, because we're all impacted by that. Yeah.
Well, I think that what you're saying makes sense in terms of when you talk excuse me, when we talk about FBA and the division now in this country between Black people who are, you know, born here, freedmen, whatever, and Black people of the diaspora, Africa's children, wherever they were stolen and carried to. Some of that is really fueled by ops. Some of it is really fueled by the Republican Party looking at the numbers and whether they're overt or covert, and saying, well, it's 20 years now, 25 years until the United States is so-called majority minority. And so thus the president is trying to import white supremacists from South Africa by the thousands, Elon Musk is trying to, you know, impregnate as many women as possible. They're trying to deport as many people, Black migrants, as possible, because they're doing the math. And how do we keep running everything when we're headed towards being an actual minority? And what if they treat us the way we treated them, which we've never done, ever in the history of ever? But it's, to me, that's part of this, you know, the whole old Willie Lynch divide and conquer strategy. And also, as you said, it's also important to give light, love, honor, and respect the specificity of the African American freedmen, Black experience. So I think, yeah, what you're saying makes sense. We got news, traffic, and sports, and then we really will talk some more about this election when we come forward. Election Eve on KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DePrima when we come forward.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. A clash over transgender athletes in high school sports in California. Republican frontrunner in the governor's race, Steve Hilton, spoke at a Save Girls sports rally.
Gavin Newsom, you say you reject the insanity of biological boys and girls sports. Well, why don't you do something about it then?
At the state track championships, A.B. Hernandez won 2 events as protests erupted outside. Officials say rules allow shared titles in such cases. A California judge has denied Bill Cosby's request for a new trial after a woman, Donna Motzinger, won nearly $60 million in a sexual battery lawsuit. The jury found Cosby liable, and the judge rejected efforts to overturn the verdict. And the grandmother of Juneteenth is releasing a new book ahead of the holiday. Activist Opal Lee's memoir, A Committee of One, How Faith Plus Action Equals a Purposeful Life, highlights her advocacy. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Head to Waba Grill weekdays after 3 p.m. for their $5 happy hour and try their new chili crisp dumplings. Bold, crunchy, and tossed in a fiery crisp, paired with a premium Waba beverage drink like their authentic Thai tea. Get both for just $5 only at Waba Grill. It's for you.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Lakers have a new title contender to worry about in the Western Conference, and they're going to be around for a while. The San Antonio Spurs are the new kings of the West. With 9 players on the roster 25 or younger, the Spurs will be in the Lakers' way for years to come. The Spurs are in the NBA Finals against the New York Knicks, mainly because of a rising 22-year-old superstar, Victor Wembanyama, and 21-year-old shooting guard Stephon Castle. Wembanyama averaged 27.3 points and 10.9 rebounds against OKC and had 19 blocked shots in the series. The Spurs are the first team in NBA history to go into the finals with their top 2 scorers 22 or younger. The Spurs beat OKC, the defending NBA champs, 8 times this season. That, more than anything, should let the Lakers know and the rest of the league that the San Antonio Spurs will not be a one-hit wonder. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Let's be real. For too long, too many of our students have sat in overcrowded classrooms in underfunded public schools.
But as head of the San Diego School Board, Richard Barrera changed that.
Under Barrera's leadership, student literacy rose from the state average all the way to #1 among major urban school districts. Barrera led the way for smaller classrooms and for teachers to be paid what they're worth.
Barrera funded more counselors and mental health services, and community schools that teach real-world skills for future jobs.
A community organizer who became an education leader to fight for our kids. The only candidate for State Superintendent of Public Instruction,
backed by the 310,000 classroom educators of the California Teachers Association. Vote Democrat Richard Barrera for State Superintendent.
Ad paid for by California Teachers Association Independent Expenditure Committee, not authorized by a candidate or committee controlled by a candidate.
Going to a World Cup match in LA this summer? Ditch the parking stress and ride Metro. With direct service from across LA County, it's the easy way to get there for just $1.75 each way.
His mother was a teacher and activist. His father was a Navy veteran. He built a company worth billions, and then he walked away from it, turning from profit to purpose, helping those who need it most. That's Tom Steyer. When big oil tried to pollute our air and water, Tom fought to stop them and won. When corporations were dodging taxes, Tom closed the loophole and got billions for public schools. And when party leaders were afraid to take on Trump, he led a movement to impeach him.
This president is unfit, he's dangerous, and we need to get rid of him.
Now, Trump is attacking Tom because, like the oil companies and the tax cheats, Donald Trump knows Tom Steyer answers to no one and will do whatever it takes to stop special interests and start lowering costs for Californians.
I can't do it by myself. I need you guys to be with me, and we need to do this together.
Politicians make promises. Tom Steyer makes a difference. Make sure you vote Tom Steyer for governor, June 2nd.
Ad paid for by Steyer for Governor 2026.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. 10 Toes In serves as a mentorship and domestic violence prevention program. They support, educate, and empower couples during and after incarceration. They assist male returning citizens to re-enter society successfully and to help them maintain a healthy relationship with their romantic partner. They offer a mentorship support group for formerly incarcerated men. 10 Toes In teaches its Intimate Relationships 101 curriculum at male prisons throughout the state of California. They host sister support group meetings for women who are intimately involved with incarcerated and formerly incarcerated men. 10 Toes In is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. To access their services or make a donation, please visit them online at 10toesin.org or find them on Facebook or Instagram. They are healing lives through relationships. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DePrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
Man, okay, so before we launch into election, I gotta bring up, because I know, of your work with Black Lives Matter, this kid, Carmelo Anthony, his trial starts today. It's a young man in Texas who was approached by a couple of 200-pound teenage white football players came up to this young African-American child, was at a high school track meet. It had started raining. Carmelo had ducked under the tent, and these two white football players came and told him to get out. He didn't comply. One of them grabbed him to take him out. He reached in his backpack, pulled out a knife, stabbed the kid, allegedly, and then ran away. Later asked about if the kid was okay. That kid, the football player that grabbed him and was stabbed, died. And today, Carmelo Anthony goes on trial for first-degree murder in Texas. This kid was captain of his football team. He's a straight-A student. He had a job, making his little change on the side. He's been in custody, and then they moved him to, ankle bracelet in the parents' house custody for a couple of years. So he's now 19. I think it's about a year and a half or something. Anyway, the trial starts today, and the white supremacists have really latched onto this because the 200-pound child that died was white, and he has a twin brother, obviously also white, and so it's become this big sort of racial flashpoint there in Dallas. I know Black Lives Matter is going out there to do court support for him. I also know that a lot of other black organizations are going out because there's gun rights people going, and there are youth group support for youth groups going. And this child, apparently Carmelo saved a kid's life, and he was really popular in his community, but there's a gag order in the case, so even his fellow students aren't allowed to speak up for him.
It's always heartbreaking and infuriating when you hear these types of stories, right? And my prayers absolutely go out to Carmelo and his family and the community. And when you think about how and why Black Lives Matter started to begin with, it was because of George Zimmer killing Trayvon Martin in cold blood, and in his case claiming self-defense when he went after a child who had a can of tea and some Skittles. And in Carmelo's case, he was actually being targeted and attacked and used real self-defense. I don't believe he intended to kill anybody. He was just trying to get away because they could have killed him. And so this whole stand your ground, right? When you think about Trayvon Martin's situation and how he was murdered, and George Zimmer was able to use I was standing my ground and protecting myself and my community when he had no real threat. He literally chased after Trayvon.
Yeah, and he got away with it. George Zimmerman, actually, that was the case where I think they said the sidewalk was the weapon.
Right.
And so that means we're all armed and dangerous because we are all walking on sidewalks.
Right. Right. And sorry. Yeah. So just listening, about knowing what was going on with Carmelo Anthony, and knowing that he was being attacked. He literally, some 250-pound kids coming after him, grabbing him, trying to forcefully move him. he had a right to defend himself in that situation, and he was not actively trying to kill somebody. He was trying to defend himself, and he ran away. And it's in Texas, and like, I'm afraid of what the state of Texas will do to him, and I imagine that people will be up in arms, whatever the outcome is, especially with white supremacists coming and supporting this family, knowing that their child was bullying and targeting a young black boy, a teenage boy who had every right to be in the tent that he was in, and had every right to defend himself in that situation.
I mean, and who was probably scared, right? You got these two. Now, Carmelo Anthony is the captain of his football team, but he's an offensive player. He weighs 150, and you got a couple of 200-pound guys coming up to you, and one grabs you. And it's not like he went and stabbed the guy 20 times. It's not like a horror movie. He pulls out the knife, stabs the guy once, allegedly, and then runs. And then he's later asking if that guy is okay, which he wasn't. But just by him asking that, you know that his intention wasn't murder.
Right.
But they're charging him with first-degree murder. And I also see the irony of how they, it's so hard to get murder or any kind of serious charge against an officer who does something like that. But when a child, and let's be clear, even though Texas law considers 17 to be an adult, 17 is a child. Science says 17 is a child. When they do something now, it's first-degree murder. And the KKK has been, all these white supremacist groups have been threatening his family ever since this happened, which is, they have a GoFundMe, but they had to use some of the money from the GoFundMe to relocate because they were getting so many death threats. So just, I think, I bring it up because I think it's important for us to know and for people to be talking about it and posting about it and reminding folks that this was a child, and this was a child who was in fear for his life.
Right. Fear for his life.
That's what armed officers get to say all the time.
All the time.
And now you're talking about a kid with a backpack and a pocket knife. It wasn't like he had some big hunting knife. It was like one of those pocket knives that kids carry.
Yeah. And that, I mean, frankly, a lot of us women carry, right?
Well, yeah, that too.
Right. And why do we carry it? For self-defense, in case someone attacks you. That's literally the reason why we have them. And I'm sure that was the reason he had a pocket knife and why he pulled it out when he was being attacked, because he was afraid, and it was for self-defense. Yeah, my heart goes out to him and his family, and thank you for raising it and keeping us aware of what's going on with our babies around the country. Because as you know, as a mother of 3 black boys, these are the things that keep me up at night. These are the things that this is the reason why I took so long to have kids, because I was afraid of stuff like this, stuff like the police, people like the police coming after our children, and especially our black boys.
You got 3 cutie patooties is what you got. They're adorable and full of life, and I get it because I think that's one of the reasons why with cases like this, it's so wrenching, because it could be any of our kids, And if you see the pictures of the football player, the one that died, I mean, rest in peace. I'm sorry that he's gone, but he looks scary. I'd be scared of him.
Yeah.
He looks, anyway. Okay, so election. Let's talk controller. I think the dollar number is now either 7 or 7.5 million that Zach Sokolov's mom has put into defeating Alex Mejia. Alex Mejia, the first...
Kenneth.
Kenneth. I always say Alex. I have a friend named Alex Mejia. Kenneth Mejia is the first Filipino American to hold citywide office, and he's a young guy, and he's a progressive. Thoughts?
Again, can't give any official endorsements, but I've already spoken at nauseum here about Kenneth Mejia. I think he's incredible. He before he was elected into his position as city controller, he helped support the creation of the people's budget and has continued to provide data. He's made data available to not just people like me, right, who work in public policy, but every single person in this city has access to the city's budget, because Kenneth Mejia and his team have promoted transparency and actually made the data transparent. We know how much money the police get from the city's budget because he has made it very transparent. Before, it was very difficult. You have to really dig to find that information. We know how much money is being spent on unhoused people because of the work that Kenneth Mikia and his team has done. And they're really committed to making sure that we, the people, have access to the information about where our taxpayer dollars are going so that we can use that information to hold our elected officials accountable. I don't expect the same thing at all from, the person who's running against him. And I think that Kenneth Mikia has done an incredible job. And I would encourage folks to really look at his track record, even though it's, he's been in office for just one cycle, but look at his track record and see the difference between him. And he actually has a CPA, right? He's a certified public accountant, which historically our city controllers have not been because
we've never had a CPA before,
right?
Which is weird. Well, the other thing I'm referencing when it comes to Kenneth Mikia is these ads, because they're constant, right? You're talking about $7.5 million for a local race. That's very rare. You see it in the mayor's race, but you don't see it for things like controller or, city attorney. That's rare.
Right.
All of a sudden, $7.5 million for controller, unheard of. We've never seen it in the city before. And these ads, that seem to accuse him of being like a sex pest. Saying that he created a toxic work environment, and people are saying that he said comments. Well, of course that would be bad if true, but there's been no person that's come out by name and said, or even anonymously. So what we're getting is we're supposed to take your opponent's word for the fact that you have these problems, but no person has come out, not even like with a silhouette and the altered voice to say Kenneth Mikia squeezed my butt. Like there's nothing. Sorry, there's nothing like that. So it's your word against his. It's just that there's so many ads, and that seems like it might take a toll.
Especially because most people don't know who the city controller is or what the city controller does. And if all you're hearing is that, then you're like, oh, I don't want that person, given that we're in this era of the Epstein files and all the things. I would encourage people, question everything and do your research. Like you said, there's nobody who's come forward with that. And also, there's high turnover rate in most elected officials' offices. I can tell you that Kenneth and his team are out in the streets. I've said this before. I literally see them at the grocery store. And I'm not talking about Whole Foods. I'm talking about at the Food for Lesses, at the grocery outlets, actually out in the community. And his team is consistent. The people who he's worked with from the beginning are still there. And that says a lot to me, because I've worked around elected officials for a long time, from local government, right, from mayor's offices to Congress. And the turnover rates are really high. Why? Because of some of, the poor treatment in the workplace. I don't believe what those ads are saying.
I don't either. I don't know him that well, but I've been around him because before he was controller, he would be at protests and stuff. And he just, that's not his energy at all.
Not at all.
Like, to me, the people that usually do that are either way extra, or they're like super repressed. And he is neither one of those.
I agree.
I don't know, he just doesn't give off sex pest vibes at all. He can be a little reserved sometimes, but I hate that, because to me, if you're going to throw that accusation, then I would like to see some kind of proof, at least have somebody to back you up, because otherwise it feels like a smear campaign.
Well, because it is a smear campaign. And again, we have to ask ourselves, why do people really want to get the controller? Like you said, it's not like the mayor's, it's not a mayor's campaign. This is a city controller. And there's a lot of hate that's being spewed towards someone who has been the most transparent that we've ever seen. We have more information about how our taxpayer dollars are being spent now than any other time, without, again, policy professor.
That's a good point. I mean, especially when you think about the fact that Republicans and some Democrats are always talking about waste, fraud, and corruption, Now you have someone who's not only a CPA, an accountant, who is writing all this stuff out. He puts it in videos and makes it to where anybody who's not a certified public accountant can understand it. He puts it on the website in a dashboard where you can easily go and find it. Who wouldn't want that?
Right. Right, exactly.
It's like, you mean there are lawmakers that don't want you to know what they're doing with your money? That's shocking.
Right. Exactly. And that's the reason why I call into question all of these things. And $7.5 million, like that's a ridiculously large amount of money for a campaign. And the fact that that money is being spent to instead of focusing on why you would be better for the position, having a smear campaign saying that this person is a sex pest is pretty wild to me.
Yeah, that's another good point. That's why she is here. LaMikia Castillo is here. We're talking, well, all things election, I guess. It's KBLA Talk 1580.
You can't fix what you won't face, and we face it every day. This is KBLA Talk 1580.
Let me tell you something about Los Angeles. This city doesn't have small problems, so it damn sure doesn't need small, weak leadership. That's why I support Karen Bass. She walked into a system that was slow, broken, and reluctant to change. She cut through red tape and started moving people off the streets into housing. She created the Office of Community Safety to make our neighborhoods safer, supported wage increases for many underpaid workers, expanded contract opportunities for small minority business, and signed an executive order to give formerly incarcerated people a second chance. Karen Bass is about real change. I'm Samuel L. Jackson, and I've seen a lot of people talk tough. Karen Bass is tough. That's why I'm voting for Karen Bass, and you should too. So vote today. You received your ballot in the mail by now. You don't even have to go to the polls. Just fill out your ballot and hand it to your postal worker. No stamp needed.
Paid for by Re-elect Karen Bass for Mayor 2026, 445 South Figueroa Street, Suite 2400, Los Angeles, California, 90071. Funding details at ethics.lacity.gov.
My name is Cynthia Mitchell. I've been an emergency room nurse in Los Angeles County for 25 years. I've been there through every fire season, every outbreak, every earthquake. Every time Los Angeles needed us, the doctors and nurses of Los Angeles County showed up. And right now, I'm seeing another disaster coming. Trump's cuts to Los Angeles County's healthcare system are a public health crisis in the making. Medi-Cal, public hospitals, disaster preparedness are all at risk. But we can stop it. Measure ER fights back against these cuts. For a half a penny, we keep emergency rooms open, care within reach for working families, and doctors and nurses serving the communities we love. When you vote yes on Measure ER, you're not just voting for health care, you're voting for LA. Vote yes on Measure ER by June 2nd.
Ad paid for by Yes on ER, Restore Healthcare for Angelinos, sponsored by St. John's Community Health and Health Justice Action Fund. Ad committee top funder, St. John's Community Health.
Hey, KBLA listeners, this is Stephen Bradford, candidate for State Insurance Commissioner on June 2nd. I've spent my entire life as a public servant on the Gardena City Council, the State Assembly, and the State Senate, standing up for working families, small businesses, seniors, and communities that are too often left behind. I'm running for State Insurance Commissioner because we need an advocate, a watchdog, who will make sure insurance is not only available, but affordable for all Californians. I, like you, am tired of being dropped from coverage after doing everything right, or wondering if anyone is on your side after a disaster strikes. I will be your strongest advocate to make sure we have a vibrant insurance market that creates greater competition and more choices for consumers like yourself. We need a market that serves all of California. As your next insurance commissioner, I will be that warrior to make sure all Californians have affordable insurance. Your ballots have arrived. I ask you to vote for Stephen Bradford as your next insurance commissioner. Stephen Bradford, a name you know. Stephen Bradford, a name you can trust. Vote by June 2nd.
Paid for by Stephen Bradford for Insurance Commissioner.
Let's be real. For too long, too many of our students have sat in overcrowded classrooms in underfunded public schools.
But as head of the San Diego School Board, Richard Barrera changed that.
Under Barrera's leadership, student literacy rose from the state average all the way to #1 among major urban school districts. Barrera led the way for smaller classrooms and for teachers to be paid what they're worth.
Barrera funded more counselors and mental health services, and community schools that teach real-world skills for future jobs.
A community organizer who became an education leader to fight for our kids. The only candidate for State Superintendent of Public Instruction,
backed by the 310,000 classroom educators of the California Teachers Association. Vote Democrat Richard Barrera for State Superintendent.
Ad paid for by California Teachers Association Independent Expenditure Committee, not authorized by a candidate or committee controlled by a candidate.
This is KBLA Talk 1580, where hate meets a scholarly match.
Alrighty, the Abolitionist Alphabet book. You can hold it up again if you want. It is available at legacyreaders.com. Happy Juneteenth.
Happy Juneteenth.
In advance. Yeah. So, okay, so many races, so little time. Tomorrow's the last day to vote.
Get out there. Take your ballot in if you haven't already done it.
And we see there was fires in a couple of county ballot drop boxes, one in Long Beach and one in downtown LA. You said you don't do that?
Yes, we don't drop our ballots, my husband and I, in the drop boxes because near where we live, there was a fire a couple of elections ago, and we were like, that's not worth the risk. We'll just take it in and drop it off. We'll still fill it out in advance, but you can fill it out and then take it in and put it into the machine where it will count it right then.
Yeah, you can hand it to an election worker, and you can watch them. Yeah, I do that a lot because now you can go to any vote center.
Mm-hmm.
The boxes are generally safe, and I would say better. I wouldn't put it in the mail because the Trump administration is threatening to try to disqualify ballots that arrive after Election Day, even though in California, if it's postmarked by Election Day, it's supposed to count. But I would go to a vote center or a county drop box.
Yeah. And they're everywhere.
Yeah.
You can go to your local YMCA. By us, the YMCA, the LA Parks and Rec, most of the Parks and Recs have, voting polls there. So they're like on almost every corner right now. So please, whatever you do, vote, go drop it off. You can drop it off today. You don't have to wait until tomorrow.
No, you don't. Tomorrow you have longer hours. I think it goes till 7 or 8.
7 or 8.
Tomorrow, but... let's see, till 8, says my voter pamphlet. And today they're open from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. So tomorrow it's 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. So we have no excuse.
No excuse.
But they also said they're going to contact, I guess if it didn't burn up, if it's just kind of crispy around the edges, they'll personally contact every voter whose ballot was impacted by those fires. So if you get a call, check your email. Pay attention if you voted in Long Beach or downtown LA. It's crazy.
It is.
I told you I was having visions of Trump running around with matches, throwing them into the county ballot box.
Right. It's the ops. The ops, they're the ones trying to set our ballots on fire.
Hey, it wouldn't be that surprising. So, LA City Attorney is also pretty contentious, more than usual. Sheriff's race. It's been worse before, but we do have mini-me MAGA guy, Alex Villanueva, trying to get back in. You have the incumbent, Robert Luna. There's about 6 others, and then you have Eric Strong running, who came in 3rd last time. So,
yeah, they're all cops to me. I would just say, just please, whatever you do, Villanueva, if you don't remember him, you should. He's a gang member. Just know that, right? And he is a big bully, and we do not need him back in there at all.
He's actually a really small bully.
Yes, that's true. He's a small bully, but yes, whatever you please just remember that name and remember no.
Yeah, don't. And when it comes to sheriff, AV is out.
Yeah,
like vote for whoever. I have my recommendations, but I'll tell you right now, we definitely don't want the return of Villanueva.
No.
I think he's the idol of Chad Bianco. I think that's him and Trump. Yeah, and when it comes to the city attorney, LA city attorney, you have a couple of challengers on the left and one on the right. You have John McKinney, who's been endorsed by the DA, Nathan Hochman, and the Police Association, who snatched their endorsement away from the incumbent, Heidi Feldstein-Soto. And then you have Ida Shuri, who is, probably the furthest to the left here, the most progressive. And then you have Marissa Roy coming out of the Attorney General's office.
Anytime somebody is endorsed by the police associations and or the DA, who is also a MAGA Trump supporter, I would say steer clear. That's what I would say.
Yeah, even if they're black?
Even if they're black. Even if they are black, all skin folk ain't kinfolk. And anytime somebody is endorsed by police associations, that means they're in the pockets of law enforcement. And we know here, our Black people get targeted by the police all day, every day. And y'all see what is happening with Hochman while he's in office. So,
yeah, and the thing about that is the city attorney does misdemeanors. They're the ones that decide how hard to throw the book at protesters. So having someone in the pocket of LAPD in that position is going to make it a lot more difficult for protesters to have rights in the city.
Absolutely.
LaMikia Castillo, thank you so much for coming in. LegacyReaders.com, the Abolitionist Alphabet Book.
Yes, please go check it out and get out there and vote. We need everybody to get out there and vote tomorrow.
Mindful Monday is next on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. A clash over transgender athletes in high school sports in California. Republican frontrunner in the governor's race, Steve Hilton, spoke at a Save Girls sports rally.
Gavin Newsom, you say you reject the insanity.